The Volta River Basin in West Africa covers large parts of Ghana and Burkina Faso and small bits of Benin, Côte d'Ivoire, Mali, and Togo. The farmers here are some of the poorest in the world. They generally rely on rain-fed agriculture for food and income. But in the Volta River Basin, rainfall is limited, and even when it does rain, much of the water evaporates back into the atmosphere. Uneven distribution of rainfall, as well as climate change, is making it even more difficult for farmers to rely on rainfall to provide water for their crops and livestock. Yet, to sustain their livelihoods, farmers must have access to reliable water supply. Small reservoirs where water can be stored during dry periods are emerging as a sustainable solution. Currently, there are more than 1,700 small reservoirs spread across northern Ghana and southern Burkina Faso. Initially, many reservoirs were built as watering holes for cattle, but they have actually come to serve multiple purposes, and they help farmers better manage both the periods of drought and floods. In order to more equitably share the benefits of limited water resources in the river basin, allowing more farmers to grow more crops, rear more cattle, or both, management of rainwater must be improved. That's why the Challenge Program on Water and Food set out to find ways to strengthen integrated management of rainwater and small reservoirs so that they can be used equitably and for multiple purposes. Since 2010, CPWF has been implementing 5 interconnected research for development projects in the Volta River Basin.
Basically, the Challenge Program, what I've started since 2003 in the Volta Basin. By the end of 2009, the program management already came up with a series of questions that they want to address that have been drawn from the stakeholders that were consulted. So these form the basis for the program, and from these series of questions, they came up with what we call the Development Challenge, which is about integrated management of rainwater and small reservoirs so that they can be used equitably for multiple purposes. Based on that, different projects were initiated, 5 different projects were initiated, and different institutions were put together. Basically, the approach that have been used is to involve several institutions and several disciplines to be able to address the development challenge that have been defined for the basin. And so we have about 19 contractual partners that are involved. So we have international organizations working together with national organizations. We have different disciplines. So basically we have about 30 researchers from these 19 institutions that have been involved. People from these institutions have been working together in the past 3 years and working in different sites covering Burkina Faso and Ghana, which constitutes more than 80% of the total area of the Volta Basin.
During the past 50 years, different technical solutions have been used to efficiently and productively manage rainfall for agriculture in the Volta River Basin. The interventions have helped increase farmers' productivity and income. Yet, there is still opportunity to replicate these interventions elsewhere, but what is likely to work where? To help decision makers answer the question, CPWF has developed a web-based tool that can indicate whether conservation agriculture, small-scale irrigation, or small reservoirs are likely to be successful in a certain place.
The process of research that we have conducted together in partnership with V1 has been first we had a session of consultations in both countries trying to identify what is the successful agricultural water management intervention case. Because success could be very different for different people or different partners and actors. And in the end, there was an agreement through this consultation that we considered success being something where you have spontaneous uptake among farmers, as well as something that has lasted beyond the project intervention time period. Because we wanted something that people kept on doing even after they got this support from for example, an NGO working in the region or some subsidy or extension service support. in that particular technology development. And then after that, we identified a number of cases around the basin of different technologies that our stakeholders thought particularly interesting. And that's how we came to choose the 3 technologies now being in the model, because these were technologies that people had a lot of knowledge about, a lot of opinions about, but is also something that is very relevant in terms of discussing investments and development of agriculture in the basin. This is where in the past people have put a lot of investment in, both nationally and internationally, and we'll continue to see that these are key technologies to enhance agriculture production, food security for the countries and for individual farmers. Then we had a second set of consultations trying to identify what are the factors of success or limitations to success for these technologies. And then we had a separate set of consultations in 2012 involving, again, both farmers and policymakers and national researchers to help us categorize and organize and also rank what is the important key factors to do this.
The Targeting Agriculture Water Management Intervention (TAGME) tool is based on both biophysical and socio-economical data. Users can use the tool to calculate the relative probability of success of agricultural water management intervention in a certain district.
If you look at how TAGME, has come about, it's supposed to be a tool that has been developed by scientists, and this tool is supposed to support decision makers. It's also supposed to support extension workers in making decisions with respect to where it's likely that there will be success in agricultural management practices. So number one, it means that the decision makers should be made aware. So all that I'm saying is that although I would like to congratulate the scientists for what they have done, I also want to say that their work is not totally finished. They have to accompany us to first make this tool aware to the target people. Not only that, the people have to learn how to use this tool and how to adapt this tool into their various sectors and also into their various districts.
Integrated water resource management is a way to equitably manage water for all users and uses. Equitably management of water requires many different actors of many different levels to work together, often in ways that are beyond everyday practices. That's why CPWF set out to understand the process that govern IWRM policymaking, practices and research in Ghana and Burkina Faso. CPWF has developed a multi-level consultation tool which can be used to act out different scenarios that illustrate the relationship and processes required for successful integrated water resources management.
The project adopted what is called the companion modeling approach. So the idea of the approach was through a participatory methodology, bringing together different type of actors from community levels, so farmers, fishermen, women, groups, different kind of people using natural resources, all the way to decision makers at district level and regional levels that are more in charge of elaborating and giving the guidelines of the policy. And so what we did was in different kind of multi-stakeholder platforms. So there was 3 that were organized in each country, Ghana and Burkina Faso, to use what is called role-playing game and multi-agent-based modeling, so to raise awareness on different type of issues and try to find consensus on modalities to implement different kind of regulations.
In Ghana, the project brought together people from different levels, village, traditional area, division, district, region, who might not have the chance to do it so as to create the condition for multi-level collective decision-making over water resources.
We were asked to write down or to go and explain to other groups why it is not good to farm along the riverbank. And then some of us were able to give some reasons why we are not supposed to farm along the riverbank. And one reason was that if you farm along the riverbank and in case the rain falls and it floats, it will wash all your crops away and also go to fill the dam, and the water in the dam will lock up. So our animals will not even get water to drink. Another thing was that we had to plant trees along the riverbank in order to protect the dam or our rivers, so that when it rains, the trees along the riverbank can hold the soil firmly, so that the soil will not fall into the dam.
In Burkina Faso, the project has helped set up decentralized organizations to implement IWRM policies at local level. These organizations are called Local Water Committees, CLE. The project contributed to operationalize a CLE, the Bouguriba 7 in the White Volta watershed.
Bekat est venu nous voir, ensemble il a pris des gens de JT, et finalement comme il a trouvé que c'était vraiment pas mal de moyens, il est venu vraiment avec son idée nous compléter par un atelier. Il est venu avec un petit fonds nous aider pour nous regrouper à tracer les plans ensemble devant lui, et on a fait les plans ensemble. C'est ça qui a aidé pour qu'on puisse au moins faire ce travail, ce gros travail.
Personnellement, en tant que membre du CLE et président d'un conseil communal, les rencontres du projet, les formations m'ont permis, par exemple, d'être en tout cas au diapason des discussions pour la mise en place de l'agence de l'eau du monde dont ma commune est membre. N'eût été les débats, les formations qu'il y a eu au niveau du projet V4. L'éclairage que j'avais n'allait pas être suffisant pour contribuer aux discussions du comité du bassin du monde.
Between 1970 and 2009, 195 bilateral and multilateral agriculture water management projects were implemented in Burkina Faso, corresponding to an investment of $641 million. In Ghana, 46 projects of this kind were implemented for a total of $258 million. Yet, while these projects yielded numerous technical solutions, controversy surrounds the question of whether farmers actually adopt the new practices and improved their livelihoods. Innovation platforms established around value chains seem to be a good approach to promoting new agriculture practices. CPWF worked with the Netherlands Development Organization in Burkina Faso and Ghana to develop 4 innovation platforms around crop livestock value chains. Innovation platforms are a form of a public-private partnership where people can work together to identify shared challenges and solutions.
Actuellement, avec tout le processus que nous avons mis en œuvre, on voit également des résultats apparents. Parce que en matière de négociation, on se rend compte que surtout les producteurs qui avaient de faibles capacités de négociation avec les autres acteurs sont maintenant capables en fait d'interagir, soit pour négocier des intrants, soit pour acheter en fait certaines technologies, et également élaborer en fait même très sommairement un petit plan de production, un petit plan d'affaires pour réellement améliorer leur système de travail. Deuxièmement, le fait qu'ils se retrouvent ensemble, ils ont pris les numéros de téléphone des uns et des autres, si bien qu'à partir de leur village, ils ont la possibilité d'explorer les différentes opportunités qui se présentent autour d'eux. Et en ce moment, ils peuvent mieux planifier leur déplacement ou leur possibilité de mise sur le marché des différents produits qu'ils cultivent. Et ensuite, compte tenu de ces résultats intéressants qu'ils ont pu observer, ils ont eux-mêmes décidé de promouvoir la pérennité de ces plateformes d'innovation pour que, même après le projet, que ces plateformes d'innovation, qu'ils arrivent constamment à se retrouver et à discuter de leurs problèmes et identifier par eux-mêmes leurs solutions.
Innovation platform members in the project communities in rural northern Ghana and Burkina Faso have gained better access to market, access to information, and learned new skills.
Grâce à ce projet, chaîne de valeur avec nos IP, ça m'a... En tout cas, j'ai eu beaucoup d'améliorations. Maintenant, une bonne organisation pour mon travail. Je sais comment gérer ça et économiser. Ce n'est plus comme avant. J'ai eu beaucoup de connaissances.
Using innovation platforms to facilitate better dialogue and coordination along value chains can help farmers improve their crop and livestock production, leading to food security and strengthening livelihoods.
One of the major criticisms of innovation platform approach has always been lack of systematic documentations of the processes and the outcomes of the innovation platform. To address this, under the FITU project, we developed monitoring and evaluation tools, which are quite very simple. And some of the results, which are quite very interesting that we found, from the monitoring over the period of 15 months include, one, consistency in the participation of the members of the innovation platforms. So, from the interaction of these different actors, we have a number of interesting results. One is the consistency of participation in the IP. The second, which is quite very interesting, is the benefit in terms of better linkages, among different actors, to better access technical and financial services. Especially the producer, the farmers, they were really impressed in terms of better linkage they had, to the ministry, to the technical or agricultural agency, and also the credit agency. So these are some of the perceived benefits. And other, results that we find is that innovation platform, is not a quick win approach. It's a long-term approach which will require sustaining the enthusiasm and interest of the IP members over a long time to really have desired benefits. And this raises the issue of the sustainability of the IP, because if the interest is not sustained, then it will be difficult to sustain the IP itself. Then other things that we find as a result is, though we don't have any measurable evidence, is that according to members of the IP, they perceived that their productivity in terms of crop and in terms of livestock performance have improved. Though we are very cautious about it because we didn't really measure all those things. But that could happen because of better access to information, for instance, agronomic practices, the agronomic, the improved varieties, that they have in terms of, for instance, cowpea, in terms of sorghum for Minera. So that might have also contributed to improve in terms of crop yield. And also in terms of livestock performance, through the IP, they had information on how to better house, their small ruminants instead of leaving them, to wander around. And through that, it's expected that will reduce mortality, and in effect, that will also contribute to improve animal performance.
On a organisé une tournée en avril 2011 avec des collègues de l'INERA pour visiter tous ces sites. Finalement, on en a retenu un au Burkina et un au Ghana. Et ensuite, toute l'équipe s'est déplacée sur ces deux sites, l'équipe du projet j'entends, pour savoir si oui ou non ça correspondait bien à ce que aux attendus en fait des uns et des autres, parce que chacun dans sa discipline a aussi des contraintes. On le voit ici, le barrage, une grande plaine inondée, irriguée à l'aval, des périmètres irrigués en rive droite, tout un tas de petits jardins qu'on ne voit pas ici. Il y a 40 pêcheurs, c'est le seul réservoir de la province de la Sicile, ce qui signifie qu'en saison sèche, il y a un afflux considérable de troupeaux. Et donc on avait là notre contexte multi-usage dans ces modalités de gestion actuelles, et c'est pour ça qu'on a foncé sur Bourra. On s'aperçoit à Bourra, et ça doit être vrai dans beaucoup d'autres endroits, que ce qui fait l'amélioration du niveau de vie des ménages, c'est la pluriactivité. Et il va de soi que dans une zone rurale, le fait d'avoir un aménagement comme celui-ci génère de la pluriactivité. Donc, on essaie maintenant de quantifier ces choses-là. Indubitablement, les résultats montrent qu'à Bourra, les conditions de vie des ménages ruraux sont meilleures. En termes d'infrastructures, la nature du sol, la qualité du toit, etc., etc.
Si on veut maintenir ce niveau de vie, il faut maintenir le réservoir et les activités qui se développent autour de ce réservoir. Alors maintenir le réservoir, ça veut dire commencer par entretenir la digue. On voit qu'à Bourra, il commence à y avoir de gros problèmes sur la digue, de dégradation de la digue. Il faut maintenir par exemple les activités de pêche. Pour maintenir ces activités de pêche, il faut avoir une qualité de l'eau qui soit suffisante. Or, il y a des gros problèmes d'algues sur le réservoir. Ce problème d'algues, il est lié aux pratiques agricoles qui se situent non seulement autour du réservoir, sur les berges, mais aussi à l'amont du réservoir, dans les bas-fonds. Et puis ça concerne aussi toutes les cultures de plateau qui sont drainées en fait par les deux marigots qui alimentent le réservoir. Et troisième chose, il faut aussi maintenir les infrastructures d'irrigation. Maintenir l'état des canaux, ça veut dire curer les canaux chaque année, voire 2 fois par an, parce que si on ne fait pas ça, on va avoir certaines zones du périmètre qui ne pourront plus être irriguées. Et puis aussi, c'est entretenir le réseau de drainage, parce qu'on le voit par exemple à Bourra, la moitié du périmètre est inondée en saison des pluies parce que le drain ne fonctionne pas assez bien. Enfin, un point très important, c'est pour bien gérer, il faut renforcer la capacité des utilisateurs du barrage, notamment les groupements paysans qui gèrent les périmètres irrigués. À Bourra, par exemple, on a informé les paysans de la surface des différentes zones de leur périmètre, qu'ils ne connaissaient pas bien. On a travaillé avec eux sur l'évaluation des performances du périmètre, savoir combien ça produit, combien ça coûte en temps, combien ça coûte en argent, mais aussi savoir à quel prix on vend nos productions. C'est très important en saison sèche, parce qu'en saison sèche, le maraîchage, c'est ce qui permet de gagner sa vie sur le périmètre. Mais quand on produit beaucoup de tomates et qu'on n'a pas d'acheteur pour la tomate, c'est une perte sèche. Donc, renforcement de capacité, ça veut dire, pour le maraîchage par exemple, que les paysans doivent s'organiser avant le démarrage de la saison pour trouver des acheteurs pour les productions de tomates et d'oignons qu'ils envisagent de faire.
CPWF has, through our research for development south, to address some of the pressing development challenges experienced by farmers in the Volta River Basin today.
I would say that working together in the last 3 years has been very, very interesting for several reasons. Many things have been achieved. Several project teams have come up with results that can be used by the stakeholders in the region. We have learned that in doing this kind of research for development program, it's important to have enough time to allow a lot of interaction with the users, because it's not enough to come with our research portfolio and say we want to do what we like to do, but it's also important that we tailor it to what is needed. And this engagement process, it takes a long time. So there are several tools that have been used in the course of this program that can enhance that kind of engagement. But beyond that, it's important that a similar or research for development program should create enough time for such to implement such program. Not only that, funding is very important, that every bit of the program is adequately funded. We realized when we started to implement that actually the program is much more ambitious than the time and the fund that have been allocated for it. So we're not really able to achieve all that we set out to do. I want to really appreciate the Basin research team for all the efforts that they have put into this program. It has not been easy, it has been very difficult. Many of them were not used to also the kind of processes and approach that CPWF set out to use, but they have been diligent enough to deliver what I say very good result within a very short time. Many of them have been challenged with the funding and with also the time available, and also with strongly between the institution requirements and project requirements on one hand. But in all this, I would say that the results that have been produced are very good results, at least within the time and the fund and the resources, all other resources that are available. So, and also want to appreciate the donor organization. The money we use for this work came from the European Commission through IFAD. So that enabled the implementation of this way. And of course, the challenge program, water and food management, have provided a lot of support at different times for this work. So to all our partners that we have engaged also at the local level, they are not here. We may not be able to see them again, but they have contributed to some of the lessons that we have learned. And if we want to build on it, or if anybody wants to build on it, there are several lessons that we can take forward from here.